I have been a teacher here at St. Louis Park High School for the last 7 years. I taught at a school in Mexico prior to this. I also taught at Edina for a year. And then I taught at a Mexican-American school in Querétaro, Mexico. Before this, at an IB school down there, where my students earned their U.S. diploma, Mexico diploma, and their IB diploma. And I am a mom of 3, and so I have a 7.5-year-old named Lugo, who's in 2nd grade at PSI, an almost 5-year-old over at Kids Place Preschool, who'll be going to kindergarten next year, and then a 2.5-year-old sassy little girl named Lola. I got into teaching by mistake, and so I actually worked in industry right out of college, and I sold advertising for 4 years. And after I was going to see one of my old high school teachers who transitioned into career coaching, he had kind of hinted that I should think about this, and I thought he was crazy. But in order to live up to my aspirations of being a corporate trainer, I decided to go back to school to get my master's in business and marketing education, thinking that I would do the student teaching part and then just go right into corporate training. But about a week after my student teaching placement had begun, I knew what passion was when you worked, and I couldn't stop thinking about, I wonder what the kids did on the weekend. I can't wait to try this with them, and breaking down information. And so I knew that I would be a lifelong teacher after that. So right now, this year, I teach leadership development and school store operations 1 and 2, and personal financial management college, and introduction to accounting. I definitely would still be involved in the business world somehow. I sold advertising for a really long time, and I loved it. I loved the creativity of designing stuff, also just working front face with clients. And so I think whatever I would do would have to involve working with a magnitude of others still. I think that I still want to go into corporate training to some capacity. I think that my after teaching life includes maybe having a taco and t-shirt stand on the beach someday, walking dogs when we live somewhere that's not Minnesota where it's cold in the winter. So, yeah. So I've traveled quite a bit of the world, and I've also lived and taught in Mexico. And one of the things that I've noticed in Australia and in Mexico is their school calendar doesn't necessarily have a 3-month gap in it. And so I would change our school calendar, and I would go to school year round. And I know that sounds scary, but we would have longer breaks in between semesters or trimesters, whatever would run. Our winter break would be longer. Spring break would be 2 weeks. But I think we could really start to truly close some equity gaps and learning gaps, and make more opportunities for our students if we were in school for the full year. I think all-in engagement. So I try to make my classes both lab learning and interactive and fun as well as rigorous. And so I think seeing kids try is super important to me, and also just hitting deadlines. Especially here in the high school level, sometimes I fear that we don't prepare our students enough to go out beyond here when we give so many chances. So hitting deadlines and making sure you're all in engaged is a really great way to do well in my classes. I would say work on building relationships with your teachers. We strive to build relationships with you guys as students, but it's really awesome when it's reciprocated the other way too. I love when kids pop back in throughout the semester or the year or even years later when you guys are still in this building. But what is super meaningful too is when I get that email or I get a message somehow that, hey, Miss Lugo, I did this in school that made me think of you, or I had to make this decision as an adult and I remember talking about this in your personal finance class, or just even how they've connected that to their real world now, or just they had a big moment about something and they thought of me. Getting those messages or receiving that is the biggest compliment I could ever get, and that's why I love doing what I do.